How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy live stream. This week, it's everything Game Week 34. I know, a couple of hours before the deadline, so not the usual deadline stream, but because of the whole blackout of social media, as you guys have known, if you've been on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube recently, you'll see that the Premier League, the FA, and I think even UEFA is currently going to do a blackout completely from social media from today. My own local time, South African time, it's going to be about 4 today until Friday, or until Monday midnight, I think. So if you guys do want to kind of support that, you can just jump on and not tweet anything on your social medias over the weekend. But in terms of the kind of thumbnail and the comments, I've seen that a lot of people don't really know what the news has come about with Rudiger. So the Chelsea manager said that Rudiger is going to be out for this weekend's game. He could be back for the following fixture, the second leg of the Champions League, which is Real Madrid next week. But definitely against Fulham, he's going to be out of that fixture. So that's why I'm kind of considering taking him out and what to kind of do with him. Another mistake that I actually made on the team selection video was, for some reason, I thought that I had more money in the bank than I currently do. And I basically have 0.3 in the bank. So no ways will we be able to afford Rudiger to Lucas Digne, which would be a really easy move to do if you guys do have the money in the bank to do that. So that was kind of my fault there. It's my bad. I take responsibility for that one. But if you guys do want to get Rudiger out, then you might have to consider taking him out if you don't have players. And that's the thing with my bench. I mean, the Wolves manager came out now and said that there's a lot of problems with the squad, and then he's not going to name them because it's an advantage for the other teams. I mean, we don't even know if Cody's going to be fit, and then obviously Phillips isn't going to be fit, as Klopp has confirmed as well today in the press conference. So we're not looking in that great shape, considering I was kind of confident in the side. I mean, the Fulham fixture for Chelsea was probably quite a good one. So I'm a little bit disappointed with taking Rudiger out, but unfortunately, I think he picked up a late knock in that Real Madrid Champions League game. So basically that's what's happening. Also with the double game weeks and the blanks, we haven't had any announcement there, but I'm sure as the stream kind of continues, if FPL comes out or the Premier League comes out and confirms it, you guys will just drop that in the comments and I'll get to it. But we don't have any news about that, so we can't even plan for that in the future. And that's kind of the whole thing with the Chelsea assets as well, is because if you look at their double game week 35, it's not that great at all. It's got Chelsea, it's got Arsenal, but then it's also kind of me thinking that at least against Arsenal, they might keep a clean sheet. So maybe just keep Rudiger. I mean, it's a player that has a double game week, so maybe just keep him and just hope that maybe Cody plays. I don't think it's going to be much of a clean sheet against West Bromwich Albion for Wolves, but I mean, maybe they would. Some comments in chat. Thank you guys for joining. I know it's a little bit of an earlier stream, so some of you guys might not be able to watch it. So if you guys are watching this on replay, welcome to the stream, basically. A couple of questions, just drop them in the comments down below. I'll be answering them as a usual live stream here. So any comments you guys do have. And then a little bit later on, we'll be touching on captaincy, because I just want to allow the most people to join the stream as possible. And then we'll talk about captaincy. Iheanacho, Kane, who should you go for? Is there actually going to be that much of a difference between these two sides? Optimus Prime saying, your opinion about bringing Regulon and selling Saiss. So the thing that I'm actually noticing is to have a player that plays in the potential blank game week 36 and hasn't been confirmed yet is going to be quite valuable. So I'm looking at a Spurs defender as maybe a replacement for Rudiger, but the ones that I can afford aren't really that great. So if you can afford a Regulon, I think that he should be perfectly fine there. And Optimus Prime, I would probably do that move if I was you. I think that they do have a great fixture this week, and in the upcoming game weeks have some great fixtures. G-Bell saying, how much in the bank? How can you afford Rudiger to Digne? So G-Bell, I think you joined a little bit late on, but I did say at the start of the stream that was a mistake and I can't actually afford that. Bell, a good differential this week. So if you watch the preview, we went kind of through this. I would only go for him if you really need a differential. If you're going to be captaining him, that's going to be absolutely Maverick, as most people will be on Iheanacho or Kane. So if you want to go that route, that's perfectly fine. The Spurs fixtures are great from now to the end of the season, as I mentioned. So I mean, Bale, if you're confident that he'll start, I think under the new manager, probably will start the majority of games. So I think that he could be a lovely differential if you guys do want to go for him. Regulon confirmed out. So okay, I thought that Regulon was confirmed in. I thought that he was one of the Spurs players that was actually going to be starting. So maybe if you guys can correct me, that could be something that I was wrong with. Cabanero is saying, who's your top two differentials for the end of the season? I think that Gareth Bale could easily become one of those differentials, but I think maybe just look at anyone with a really nice double game week. And I mean, that could be someone like a Wilfred Zaha, double game week 35. Those fixtures look great for Crystal Palace, so he could be kind of one of them. But the thing about differentials is that they, at this stage of the season, they differential for a reason. They either, one, haven't been returning, or two, just kind of no one knows them, and that's kind of the best differential to get. But I would be careful with differentials at this stage of the season. As I mentioned, probably means that they haven't been returning. So I mean, you might as well just take a punt on maybe someone like a Crystal Palace because they have great fixtures. I have money to do Jota to Sterling. What do you think? So that's one of the things maybe when I touched about captaincy that I was considering was looking at someone like a Raheem Sterling. I think you can basically assume that he's going to be starting this week against Crystal Palace. And if you want to go for a really differential captain, I mean, Sterling could just be on a platter there for you guys. But I kind of would only go for that if you need a mega differential or you need someone that you really want to kind of boost up those ranks with. So I think you don't necessarily have to captain him as you're kind of mentioning there, but I think that Jota to Sterling move is something that I'd heavily consider. I'm just kind of being really cautious about my free transfers and where I use them, because if you do recall, there's going to be a couple of blanks, a couple of doubles coming up, and Man City, they don't blank in game week 36, but they don't play in that double or have a double game week fixture in double game week 35. So it's one of those moves that I probably would do it just because it's kind of maverick, but just make sure that your squad is set up with the upcoming game weeks. I don't have enough money to bring Greenwood. Is Adama okay? So I don't think I'd be bringing Greenwood in this week anyway. I don't think that Greenwood's going to start, unfortunately. I'm playing him here because I think off the bench, maybe Man United have a better chance of scoring than Liverpool, just because at the end of these fixtures, the Liverpool defense has been really sloppy, kind of conceding a lot of chances there. So I think that Greenwood over Jota, if I was kind of to predict who would score the most points off the bench, I think that I would go with Greenwood. So I wouldn't even be bringing Greenwood in this week. I think I would just kind of stick with another option maybe. Start Jota or Watkins. Also start one of Fofana, Holding, or Sufal. So I would probably go with Watkins in that kind of debate. I think it's perfectly fine to bench Jota. It sounds bad, but I just think that there's a heavy chance of him being rotated this week. I just think that Klopp will go for Firmino, Mane, Salah as that front three, and then just bring Jota off the bench. And I mean, Jota off the bench isn't the worst thing in the world. Actually, he could actually be quite good. But I think that I have to favor the player that's probably going to play a full 90, and that's going to be Watkins. And then also starting one of Fofana, Holding, or Sufal. I kind of want to lean towards going with Holding, but I just think in terms of that, I think that the Leicester defender probably would be a little bit better. Optimus Prime saying Regulon is okay, an ongoing calf complaint. Ben Davies out of the weekend against Sheffield United. So that's the thing. I thought that I saw Ben Davies was confirmed out, but I didn't see that Regulon injury. So if Regulon is kind of injured or a doubt, then you could maybe just have some caution with going with him. Confirmed Rudiger is out. Yes, it basically has been confirmed, unless you don't really trust the Chelsea manager, but he came out and said that maybe for next week's fixture, Wednesday's fixture against Real Madrid, but definitely this week Rudiger won't play. So if you're seeing there's lots of people recommending players like Castagne or Lucas Digne. Those moves are 100% great to do. I just simply don't have that much money, and I don't know if I want to go for someone like a Coleman or Godfrey, as I don't even know if those guys are going to start. So that's why I think I might just kind of play Rudiger here. I know that he's not going to start, but hope that Cody maybe comes off and gets a miraculous clean sheet. And then if Rudiger does recover from that injury, I do still have him for the double game week. Thoughts on Sigurdsson? So I think Sigurdsson's perfectly fine, but more of a differential. I mean, I don't really have that much faith in Sigurdsson, but if you need a differential at this stage of the season, you could always look at him. Kadir saying when to use your wild card. So if you have your bench boost still, it's kind of a little bit of an unlucky situation there, because you kind of probably hope that the double game weeks were announced pre-game week 34, so you could wild card this week and then bench boost next game week. But if you do still have your wild card, I'd simply just hold it and then either play it before the double or play it before the blank, and that will probably be the best scenario to go for. Start Digne or Jota. I would go with Lucas Digne, FPL Giant. I think that move looks perfectly fine. How's it going, FPL Focus? Who am I going to use, Pickford or Martinez? Also, I'm thinking to bring players like Rodriguez. So you got to kind of look at it and assess which goalkeeper you think will make more saves. I know that Pickford might have a higher chance of keeping a clean sheet, but I think that Martinez has the higher upside. So I would probably go for someone like a Martinez. But now you're talking about bringing in a player like James Rodriguez. And I mean, that could be a situation where it's a conflicting situation. So you can see on my team, I have Lowton, but I also have Lingard. So you can kind of play it on the side of safety where you hope at least one of them returns, but that can also come back to bite you and both of them can blank. Or you play it on the odds of who you think is going to outperform, and then you bench the player that you think is going to score the less points. So it's kind of what you want to go for there. If you're not going to bring in James this week, then maybe just go for Martinez. Are you going to save your transfer? So that was my original plan, but with Rudiger out right now, I don't really know what to do because I wanted to take Rudiger out next week anyway, but I can't afford the moves that I wanted to do. I wanted to bring in someone like a Castagne, someone like a Lucas Digne, but I can't afford those moves. So next game week, if I downgraded someone like a Vardy to a DCL, I could afford that move, but simply this week I can't. So I might just be hoping that I kind of go for just banking a transfer. Maybe Cody comes on, not expecting too much from the Wolves assets as their defense looks absolutely tragic this week, and West Bromwich Albion actually have been playing quite well there from an attacking point of view. So I think that I might just kind of maybe stick with him and then just hold him for that double game week. Will Davies play? So you're probably talking about, I don't know if I think you're talking about the Aston Villa striker. I don't think he would. Maybe bring in Serge Aurier, says Optimus Prime. That could be an interesting situation. What I'll kind of do is, you guys know the team selection that I had from the previous video. If you guys don't know it, you can just maybe go back and look at the video. But the defenders I can afford are up till 5 million. So I'll do 5.1 here. The move that I kind of wanted to do was take out Cody for Dallas, but I'm 0.1 short. So a little bit unlucky in that situation. I don't even know, is the Spurs assets, is Aurier even cheaper there? I don't even think I can afford Serge Aurier. So Aurier's 5.2, so I can't even afford him. So that kind of takes that plan down. But these are basically the players that I could afford. I mean, I could go for someone like a Target, but I don't know how keen I am on going for maybe one of these assets. I mean, the fixtures aren't looking that great for Aston Villa. The other assets I was considering is going for someone like a Keane, but not going for Keane, maybe going for Godfrey or Coleman. But Godfrey and Coleman seem to have been rotating this season, so I don't know how great that is. So, I mean, the options that we have here are a little bit slim. I mean, I could go for a Reece James, but I mean, that's kind of going a little bit sideways. And that's the whole thing, is I really wanted to go for a player that doesn't blank in game week 36, because why take out a guy who has a double and a blank and replace him with the same player? I don't see too much upside in that situation, and that's why I really wanted to bring in one of the Everton assets. But the only Everton players I can afford don't look that great in my opinion. I mean, I'll go to them here, but as you know, with that Everton kind of defense, a lot of them haven't even kept clean sheets this season. So I think if we look at like a Lucas Digne, how many clean sheets has he kept? So they've kept 6 clean sheets this entire season. So not the greatest stats in the world, and that's why Lucas Digne, at least you still have that attacking threat, and that's why Coleman could have been quite attractive. But I think that the fact that Godfrey and Coleman have been rotating kind of leads me to not want either of them. Mason Holgate for Rudiger, that could be a situation that I do also look at. Holgate's been one of those players that has actually played quite a lot of minutes. But I think with him, you're kind of just hoping for that clean sheet threat. And the thing about Everton is that I don't have much faith in that clean sheet threat at all. So I'll just leave it on the kind of players that I could afford here, and you guys can kind of take a look at them. But there's not too many options, unfortunately. So that's why I'm leading towards maybe just keeping it. Hugo asking, are you getting Bruno for the double? I don't think I'll get Bruno for the double. I think that I might look at other assets that maybe don't blank, like a DCL or maybe a Lucas Digne, as I already do have Greenwood. Now, I don't think Greenwood's going to be playing every single minute, but what I kind of hope for is that he gets minutes in the double. I don't think he will, though, because kind of what I think is going to happen is because Man United won so convincingly last night, they simply will just play a rotated squad next week, and then Greenwood will play midweek and then not play on the weekend again. So it's a really tough spot with Greenwood here. I might actually look at chipping him out, but I don't know who I would go for on that price bracket. Sure about the double game week, so I'm not really sure about it. I think that it might happen. I mean, I trust Ben Crellin. He's kind of he's always been quite on point with going for some predictions. So I think that it probably will happen, but I guess we can't really be certain with how the season's been kind of playing out. Greenwood will play with Liverpool because he didn't play in Europe. So that's what I thought when the game week, when that game started. I looked at the lineup. I thought that Greenwood was rested. Yeah, he'll play. But when I saw how well they played with that current squad, 100%, I think that's going to be the exact same lineup that they go for against Liverpool. And that's just my opinion. I think that Greenwood will come off the bench like he did in the Europa League, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I don't think it's a certainty that he's going to be starting against Liverpool at all. FPL Focus saying, I'm okay, mate. Glad to hear you okay, mate. Good luck this game week. Thanks for dropping by, FPL Focus. And hopefully you end up with a green arrow for this week. Matt saying, what about Foden? So Foden's an interesting one, but with the entire Man City kind of lineup, I don't think there's a player that I would look at from Man City that isn't rotation proof. I mean, this week we could go for someone like a Sterling, but I mean, next game week you could be benched. I mean, it's kind of a whole bunch of things that we could look at. So that's the whole thing with Man City, and I don't think from now to the end of the season we're going to have that rotation around. Sterling and Castagne for KDB and Rudiger. So, to be honest, I like those moves, but I never kind of like taking out KDB, especially if it's for another Man City asset. But in terms of on paper, those moves look quite good, especially if you want to captain Sterling as well. How many hours are you ahead of Britain? So I think we 1 hour ahead of the UK. I think it was 2 hours when you guys had daylight saving, but I think right now it's just 1 hour ahead. Would you possibly do any transfer after this deadline, says Wilson? I don't think so, Wilson. It's going to be a really tough spot to be in if I do make a transfer, because obviously I want to update you guys as much as possible for my own squad. But obviously you can't go on social media and post anything. So I don't know what I'll do. I can't see myself doing a transfer. The only thing I could maybe do is taking like a -4 hit and taking out Greenwood and bringing someone else in. But I can't really see myself taking a hit, especially before those doubles are even announced. The one thing I saw someone said was that I could maybe take out a Cody and then I could look at a 5.2 option. So let's go and look at the 5.2 options. You can see here with Dallas, I mean, he's just more expensive than the kind of price you wanted to pay. So I think he rose in price this week, actually. So that's a little bit unfortunate there in terms of that situation. But in terms of unlocking other assets, there's not really many options at that 5.2 bracket that I could even afford and that I would really kind of go for. So it's a little bit of a tough spot to be in, but I think I might just kind of play it out and go for someone like a Cody and just hope that he plays. Should I do Castagne or Trent and Greenwood or Lingard for Bruno and Phillips? So I'm kind of in the camp that I wouldn't take Bruno Fernandes out. I just wouldn't. I just think that in terms of that double game week coming up, I think that he'll be a good shout in that one. So I don't think I'll be taking Fernandes out. I mean, it could come back to bite us, but I just think that I'll kind of lean and hold on to Fernandes for the upcoming game weeks. Sam saying Jota seems risky this week. He is risky, but I think the only risk factor with him is him being benched, because him off the bench, I mean, give him 30 minutes. He's looked a lot better off the bench than he has starting for Liverpool. So, I mean, that could be a little bit less risky, I guess. Chris France saying, what have I missed? Is Rudiger definitely not playing? So from the press conference, what I kind of gauged was that he won't be playing this week, and then he might play midweek against Real Madrid. So I think that this week we can basically confirm that he's not going to start. I mean, miraculous things have happened in FPL. He could end up starting, but I think that it's kind of sure to kind of assume that he's not. Why is Phillips injured on your screen? Because he's Klopp confirmed today. They asked him any new injuries and any injuries that are coming back, and he said no, still the same. So that means that Phillips is going to still be out, and that's why he's still injured. So he's also not going to be starting, and now Cody, no news about him from the Wolves manager, so he might not even be starting. Gammon saying Jota, Coleman, Holding for Fana. Start 2, please. I would start Holding and I'd start for Fana. Start Jota or Ceballos or Target. That's quite a weird situation. I don't think I'd be starting Ceballos. I think that it would be between Jota and Target. And it depends. If you have an Everton attacker, then don't start Target. But I think that Target could be quite a safe option to go for, because most people own Martinez. So at least you still have some coverage there of that Aston Villa clean sheet. Vincent says, how's things? All things good. No electricity outages. Can you pick 4 out of Trent, Shaw, Dallas, Dunk, Watkins to start? I would probably bench Dunk. I would, so that's basically the 4. So if you had to pick 4 there, I'd just probably bench Dunk and start the other 4 options. Start Lowton or Holding. If you own someone like a Lingard, start Holding. Digne or Castagne. I think that I would lean towards going for Castagne just because I think they have more of a chance of a clean sheet than maybe Everton do. But I think you, in a perfect world, you want to start both those defenders. So maybe just reanalyze your squad and try and fit in both those options. Frederick Essien saying, how about Zinchenko? It's the same thing with those Man City assets. I just can't trust them to start, so I don't really know who to go for. Helmi saying 3 minutes to the deadline, so we will be carrying on till maybe 4 my local time. So that's 30 minutes time, but we might cut it short depending on how the stream's going. If I've answered all the questions, I'll just cut it short and then I'll give you guys the final team as it is. What are your plans with your defense? Any future or current transfers? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring someone like Lucas Digne in, but I kind of overestimated the amount of money I have in my bank, so I can't afford Lucas Digne at all. I would also look at maybe going for like a Castagne, but I'm not kind of sure on that one either. So I think I might just hold, and then maybe next week, if the doubles do happen, I'll look at bringing in someone like a DCL and then a Lucas Digne to kind of combine that Everton. Slick from first time FPL player, so thanks for joining the stream. Hopefully it's been helping you through your first season. Optimus Prime saying, is Man United have double next game week? Switch Salah to Fernandes, and then at game week 36 switch. So you can do that. It's kind of all depends on how much you value your free transfers. And the thing you must remember is that Salah faces Southampton in that double game week. I mean, Salah could easily outperform double game week options. Barry O'Donnell saying, do you think Bale is likely to start this game week? I think that he will start. I think under this new Spurs manager, seems to like the Welsh winger a little bit more than Mourinho did. So I would be pretty confident of him starting. I mean, obviously in FPL and the Premier League in general, you can never be 100% sure, but I'd probably say I'm about 70 to 80% sure. Sol De Bruyne says, Emil, so as far as I know, De Bruyne's back from his injury, but I can understand what you guys are saying about maybe resting him and then he'll play in the Champions League. So if you want to take out De Bruyne, someone you could look at for like a straight swap is going to be a Sterling, or you could look at like a Salah or Fernandes. If you really want to get some value for money, maybe downgrade him to someone even cheaper. But if you don't have Son, could also look at a human Son for this upcoming game weeks because Spurs fixtures look quite good. Captain Son, Kane, Iheanacho. So Kadir, because you mentioned that, I probably will talk about the captaincy now. So this is my kind of situation. If you guys are maybe more higher in the ranks, I'm talking about maybe top 100k, top 10k. The ownership between Iheanacho and Kane is basically the same. So if you guys are assuming that Iheanacho is going to be this differential captain, no one's going to go for him, I've got some bad news for you. I think that Kane and Iheanacho should be around the similar kind of captaincy point of view. I think that Kane definitely will be captained by more players, but I think it might be like a 40%, 20% situation. But both of these players' ownership will be over 100%. What that means is that if in those kind of rank brackets, if you don't captain that player and that player scores more than your captain, you're kind of going to go down in negatives or get a red arrow basically if you don't make it up in other areas. So don't think of Iheanacho as a mega differential. Both these players are highly owned, are going to be highly captained. Just kind of go for the option that you think is going to be better. There's kind of no safe pick, and that's what I kind of want to reiterate. I know that maybe going with Kane is a less risky option than going with an Iheanacho because more people captain him. But in terms of those two captains, just basically go for the one who you think is going to score the most points. I think that Kane is probably the better option to go for. I don't know why. I just think that maybe it's a good fixture for Harry Kane. Chasing that golden boot still, you got to kind of factor in it with Leicester that I know that I've already got a double up with both those sides, but for some reason I think I'm safer going with a double up of Leicester and captaining Kane than maybe going with captaining Iheanacho, and that's just kind of my opinion. But there's the thing, if you guys need a differential, if you need to boost up those ranks, win your mini leagues, that's why I would kind of go for Sterling as a captain. I mean, Cabanero's just said it, yeah, Sterling for a captain this week. I really was considering maybe downgrading Salah and going for Sterling this week. I don't know why, just for some reason I thought maybe like a gut feeling that this could be kind of a week to go for. But like in terms of the others, I don't really know that it's going to be that great. Okay, so Optimus Prime saying our fixture with Southampton has been confirmed. Aston Villa home has been rescheduled in order to provide an opportunity to welcome fans back to Selhurst for Arsenal, which is game week 7. So that has been a double game week. Let me maybe go on and just confirm if Ben Crellin kind of predicted that and what he thought it was going to be. So in terms of Crystal Palace, the thing that was a little bit rearranged here is that the Aston Villa fixture was rearranged to game week 37, not game week 36. So that's kind of an interesting one to go by there. I don't know if that's going to be confirming like everything else, but maybe from now till that kind of cutoff of the blackout, we're going to get some more news on it. But that's definitely interesting to see that it's been rearranged, but in a way that maybe Ben Crellin didn't predict. So I don't know how much that's going to kind of impact it. Leno or Meslier, says Josh. So I don't know if you watched Leno last weekend, but I don't know if I'd be starting Leno anytime soon after that mistake. But in all seriousness, I kind of think that in terms of the fixtures, you got to probably favor going with the Leno a little bit more than going with the Meslier. I don't know why. I just think that maybe Arsenal have a better fixture. So Light Ray says, yeah, Newcastle have posted something too. So if Newcastle have posted something too, then we might be getting some more news here. As far as I know, I thought that Newcastle weren't going to have a double. So we'll see what Newcastle says there. Maybe if someone can just drop something and then we'll check. Is Rudiger injured? So he has been, apparently, he's going to be out for this weekend at least. Rudiger to Christensen, simple switch or not so simple? So Jeremy, it's not a simple switch because you're kind of taking out a player that could potentially blank in game week 36. We're kind of getting more news in here about this whole potential double game week, but that's why I kind of wanted to get Rudiger out for a player that doesn't blank so I can kind of provide a starting 11 in that game week. So Mock is saying all announcements happening now. So this is probably quite a good time to stream, and all team announcements have taken place. So we'll just kind of refresh on Ben Krillen's Twitter and see what happens. So I'll bring up Ben Krillen's Twitter on my other monitor here, and then maybe we can kind of confirm some news as the teams go by. But in terms of all the teams kind of confirming, hopefully you'll be getting some more news here. So I'll take you through. So our fixture has been confirmed. So Ben hasn't said anything about it. So it's a little bit hard to kind of keep up because like everyone's posting. Okay, so we have this from the official Premier League here. So let's just accept all the cookies from this thing. So we have some news here for guidance. Game weeks 36 and 37 have been rescheduled to provide. Okay, so it also says that game week 36, there's been postponed matches. An opportunity for each club to welcome the safe return. Game week 37 will take place in the midweek. Further details regarding match 36 will be announced in due course. So we do have, is this game week 36 here? Okay, Newcastle versus Man City. Chelsea versus Arsenal. So it looks quite weird here in terms of, I can't really see like what they were postponing or what they were starting. But there definitely is some postponement. So I'll just kind of refresh Twitter as we go along and get you guys some news as it drops. Okay, so Everton are saying Villa away confirmed, Sheffield United at home moved, Wolves home update for potential return for games. So I'm just going to kind of wait maybe and see what people are saying about these double game weeks, but we don't really know much about it in any case. So let's just wait a couple of minutes, guys, and then we'll get some confirmed news here. And then I think that'll probably be a better situation for us. Unless someone in chat can kind of explain it. So wait, so game week 36 postponed. Okay, so I thought you said game week 36 was completely postponed. Thanks. Congratulations on the graduation, Bruce. Thanks, I appreciate it. Everyone's kind of going mental here about the double game week announcement and the blank game week announcement. So I'm just going to hold for Ben Krillen's post, exactly. I'm just going to kind of wait to see what he says, and then we can kind of maybe make a transfer in the next 20 minutes if the fixtures are announced. Do I start Leno or Meslier, please? Josh, I already answered. I said I would probably start Leno because I just think the chances of a clean sheet might be better. Crystal Palace just announced something, so I think every team basically announced something about Game Week 37, but what seems weird to me is that it's not Game Week 36 and 37 switching, it's like the opposite of that. Thanks, Optimus Prime, I'll appreciate that, but I did see that kind of link, but I'll just tell me when someone has tweeted a better kind of confirmed layout, and then I'll shout them out on stream or whatever. Start Saiss and Cody or Salah and Jota. I would start Saiss and Cody or Salah and Jota. I would probably just going with Salah and Jota in that case. It's a little bit of a weird comparison there because I definitely would start Salah. Start Holding or Feltman. I would probably still go with Holding because I just think that he looks quite good. Mason Holgate. Jeremy, I like Mason Holgate, but the thing about it is that you're probably going to need him just for the clean sheets and not really much of an attacking return. So I think that that's probably why I'm not really favouring him. I would rather at least have an Everton attacker or defender that attacks a little bit. Start Cody or Holding. I'd go for Holding. Have a transfer to burn. How does Cody to Coleman look? So the only thing about Coleman is that him and Godfrey seem to be rotating. So I don't really know which one to go for in that situation. But I think maybe Godfrey would be the more safe option. Any news of Aaron Cresswell is available? I think that the news out of that was that he was confirmed to kind of be benched. Or not benched, injured, sorry. From Sam Martin, Casper, Thomas, Evans, Fofana, Castagne. So we have this similar lineup from that whole Leicester situation. So kind of, I don't think they've made any changes over the last 3 game weeks. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Need help. I have 2 transfers left. Who should I bring in? I would look at maybe bringing in a Man City option that you think will start. Would you transfer Vardy to Wesley? I'm not really familiar with that striker, so you can probably drop me a DM there, Jason, and I'll cover it. So yes, news has been announced on the FPL official account, but it's not too kind of drawn out. So I'm going to just refresh here and see if anything was announced. So that's the thing, is that they announced, but it doesn't seem like they're too set out. So maybe if someone, the first account that probably posts something will get massive amount of likes and retweets, because so far no one has said anything about it. But with this whole news, it's come perfectly before this whole blackout situation. So I think it's going to give a lot of people some time to digest, time to take off some time from social media and just plan their FPL squads for the next couple game weeks. Start Jota or Vidra. I have Fernandes and Salah. Start Jota or Vidra. I would start Jota in that case. Caroline, I don't know. It's a weird situation with Vidra, but it's the same thing. I know that Wood has absolutely banged this past couple game weeks, but I just think I would rather start him than Vidra. I don't think that Vidra offers that much, but I think that Jota might be a better situation in that case. Is Cody injured, or is that case any replacement advice? I don't think he's injured, but the Wolves manager never says anything about injuries because he considers it an advantage to the other team, which is quite whack because every team has to do it. So we don't know if Cody's injured or not, but I just kind of took him out here because I have more money in Cody than I do Rudiger, so I could maybe afford better options. Who to take in for Fernandes, Kent? I would probably just keep Fernandes at this stage of the season. I mean, he's got a double coming up potentially, but that could be quite good. Tottenham's home game with Wolves due to a midweek game on Wednesday will now be played on Sunday. The Villa game next weekend is due to be put back so fans can attend. So that's the whole thing, is we got all these announcements, but it hasn't really been clear what's going to be happening from now to the end of the season. Whether there's going to be a blank, a double, what's going to be happening. Alexander saying, will you post the transfer on Twitter? I have to go to the pub, and congratulations to the thanks for the congratulations there. I probably won't post it because of the whole blackout situation, but if I do make a transfer, it'll be between now and whenever we go for. So if it's 4 o'clock when the blackout happens, I probably will make a transfer after that anyway. Jovan saying, forget about FPL, let's talk about the NFL draft. So I could probably do a whole hour on the whole first round of the NFL draft because I had a lot to say about it in the picks. But now with the whole double game week situation, the blank game week situation, the whole NFL talk has been thrown out the window and we're kind of waiting for what's going to be happening. Would you recommend putting in Jason instead of Kane? So the thing about Jason is that he's absolutely terrible at sports, so I definitely wouldn't be doing that situation. I think the double game week will be at game week 37. So that's something that what I kind of thought of as well. It seemed like game week 37 is now going to be the double, not game week 35. So it's an interesting situation here. I need a cheap Smith Rowe substitute. So Patrick is, if Smith Rowe's out, but I thought that he was actually fine. But if Smith Rowe is out, there's unfortunately not many options that you can look at. In terms of that whole midfield situation, it's really not looking great. I mean, you could bring in an Elneny because that might be a swap, but I don't think there's many options to look at. So maybe a Basuma if you can afford him, but I think that you might just be worth just sticking with Smith Rowe at his price point. Seems like a game week 36 blank and double game week 37, says Devin Little. So that could be quite true. G-Ball saying, are you ready for team of the season, Dayvy? So I'm not playing FIFA this season, but I'm kind of getting a little bit of FOMO here with all these team of the seasons being announced. Make the transfer have to go. So honestly, I don't think I'm going to be doing a transfer with this whole double game week situation. It's happening so late. Maybe I'll digest it and I'll see something or whatever, but I can't really see myself making a transfer from now till then with all this kind of uncertainty. I'll go on Twitter again and maybe just refresh here and see if anything's been announced. But I don't think that anything has been announced. So yeah, it's like no one kind of knows if it's a double in game week 36 or 37. So who knows what's happening here? So like apologies for the confusion, guys, but unfortunately there's nothing that I can do here. This is out of my control. I'm not an owner of FPL Towers. Alonso replacement, says Lawazi. I might just keep Alonso in the situation. I mean, if Rudiger's out, there might be some rotation in that back line, and Alonso might actually start. So that's the kind of the situation that I'd be in. I'd probably just keep Alonso and just hope that he plays. Kieran Brooks saying Holgate Rudiger replacement. So I don't know if you're asking Holgate and Rudiger, or if you're saying Holgate is a Rudiger replacement. But Holgate's definitely a potential replacement. But the thing with Everton is, one, they don't keep many clean sheets, and two, with Holgate, you're kind of relying on that. So that's kind of the situation I'm in, and that's why I would prefer like maybe a Lucas Digne, because he still offers that attacking threat. But like, I honestly, I don't know if that whole Everton backline, there could be some rotation there anyways with, I think Keane's going to be back. Patrick Hall saying, all right, thanks, boss. I hope you have a good weekend. I'm an English kid in Cape Town myself. So, I mean, Cape Town's a beautiful city there. So hopefully you're enjoying it there, and hopefully you have a safe weekend, Patrick, and enjoy it. Simon says, Palace announced their fixture. Yes, that is true. G-Bar saying, since there's a social media blackout, can we have a Discord channel where you make the announcement, if any? So, do you classify Discord as social media? That's kind of the thing that you got to kind of look at. If you do, then maybe you could consider social media being a Discord. But I could potentially host a Discord for you guys too. Maybe where we can talk about stuff. Make transfers have to go, says Nikhil. So Nikhil, you can go. I don't think I'll be making any transfers now, especially with this whole uncertainty about the double game weeks coming up. How's it, Dayvy? Any concerns Mendy and Rudiger get rested for the Champions League? So I think Rudiger won't play Adam because he's injured. And then Mendy, I don't know if he'll be rotated. I think with your goalkeepers, you don't want to rotate them too much because then they get out of form. And that's kind of the thing that I've kind of focused on. John Chappell saying, my sister works at West Ham just as a fitness coach. She says Lingard out for the season and is returning to Man United, says John Chappell. So that's quite a big news if that actually managed to happen. But I think that in terms of things like, I think it was ex-West Ham employee or something, they said that he should be fine. But I mean, if Lingard's out, we still have Jota that could come on. Okay, so let's go look at if anything has happened on Twitter. And basically nothing has been confirmed. Okay, wait. So we do have Ben Crellin here. Okay, so here let's bring up Ben Crellin's tweet. Is this from like a second ago? Okay, so we're getting some hot news off the press here, guys. We're having Ben Crellin's announcement here of the double game week and what is going to be happening. So he says here, so this is basically what we kind of thought of as well. He said here that they don't know the exact deadline, so we don't know if it's going to be a double game week or a blank game week. Match weeks 36 and 37 have been pushed back, and if the game weeks 36 and 37 deadlines are both pushed back, then we'll get this schedule. So this is what his prediction is. So it still has a double game week 35, and I think this is the exact same game week that he said previously. So it's basically exactly the things that we knew, which isn't that different to what we already knew. So I mean, don't really know what's happening here, but in terms of that, we'll see. So I don't really understand. So this is the exact same schedule that he posted previously. So in terms of the schedule, nothing much has changed. So it's a little bit of a weird one. And as he said, I guess we don't really know how the FPL deadlines are going to change. So we can't even do much planning. So as Simon said, like, this is the exact same thing that he posted previously. So I don't know if like there's too much conclusion that we've gained from this 30 minutes where we've been absolutely... So there we go, Optimus Prime, thank you for tagging me in the tweet there. So yeah, it's the exact same deadline as previous. So, I mean, I don't know. So you guys can kind of go off this if you've known. We spoke about this a little bit about what happened previously of those fixtures and like the teams that we were targeting. And as you can see, it pretty much was like Everton. Crystal Palace have a great double, but this blank game week is the one that's kind of annoying me a little bit because of a lot of players from these teams. Brent saying, sell Bruno for Son. I probably would only do that if you want to captain Son. I think that with this whole double game week situation, you want to probably keep Bruno Fernandes for this double anyway. And with the whole Europa League situation, they've won that game comfortably. So, I mean, Bruno Fernandes could even be rested next week. Red Dev saying, I think he was predicting earlier and now it's confirmed. So what I think happened is this was his prediction. His prediction is still valid, but FPL haven't confirmed if it's 100%. So that's what I think the current situation is here. That this isn't confirmed, but it's a valid prediction still. So that I think you can basically take it as maybe true, but I don't think as 100% confirmed. Pseudo Geek saying, Game Week 35, Man U versus Leicester, Chelsea versus Southampton versus Palace. So that's probably what these double game weeks are then, hey? What you posting? Simon saying, Ben's prediction depends on FPL moving their game weeks now. Otherwise, we'll have a complete blank one game week if I remember right. So that is true. And I think that they have to basically move those deadlines because it'll basically be useless to have an FPL deadline when there's no fixtures. The Premier League's announcement has not yet come with confirmation of when the game week's deadline passes. As things stand, the following fixtures could either indicate... Okay, so that is true. So we don't really have any news here, guys, unfortunately. And I don't think I'll be getting any news shortly as well because obviously with the whole social media blackout, we don't really know what's going to be happening. But I would probably just try and bank a transfer if you can. And like if your squad is fine for that, just bank a transfer and then we can take it from there. Because I think maybe next game week we'll get more news because I think there's a certain window where they have to announce it. Should I start Greenwood or Vidra? I would probably just go with Vidra because I think that he's going to start. But I think that Greenwood might have the more potential if he does manage to. But I would probably just go with Vidra in that case. Maybe hold our transfer. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing, guys. I'm just going to be holding it. I think it's a little bit unfair also if I make a transfer and then I change it a little bit later on. So this is probably going to be the side that I managed to go with. And I'm just going to kind of hope with all this Lingard news, all this like Wolves news, Rudiger news, that we still managed to put out a full starting 11 because it's not looking that great. The team is looking a little bit dodgy. Smith to Zaha. If you talk about Rose Smith to Zaha, that could be a nice move. The thing about Crystal Palace is this week they do face Man City. So maybe if you can hold off for one game week, that should be fine. Any Everton defenders nailed other than Lucas Digne? So I'm not an Everton fan, but I can kind of imagine that if Keane's back, he'll be nailed. If Yerry Mina's back, he'll be nailed. And then I think that one of Godfrey and Coleman are nailed. But I mean, Holgate's also been nailed in that lineup. So it's really hard. So like, I don't really understand like what you would do in that situation because the Everton players are really hard to kind of nail. I don't know if Kane, do I still hold, says Ben. If you were planning to bring like a Kane in, I'm not saying hold your transfers and negate transfers that you were planning on for quite a while. So I still would go for like a Kane if you want to captain him. I would still go with someone like, if you want to bring in Son, you could also still go with him. But if you kind of if you kind of have a move that you were planning on that was a little bit risky, then maybe hold off on it. I didn't answer any of your questions. I think you were the one that was asking me about if Rudiger confirmed out and why am I taking Rudiger out, Bosnian. So that's why I think I did answer your question at the beginning there, buddy. Hoping Coleman plays, didn't have the funds for Digne. So Simon, that's the same situation that I was in with Coleman or Godfrey because it seems like when Godfrey plays on the outside, he benches Coleman, but sometimes they play at 3 at the back, sometimes they play at 5 at the back, 4 at the back. So it's really hard to kind of predict. Dominico is saying, what is the latest on Regulon? As far as I know, he wasn't completely out, confirmed, but it seems like he has a little bit of a knock there. So he might not play, he might play. It's a little bit of a tough situation on Regulon. Okay, so Optimus Prime saying there's a chance that Game Week 37 deadline will be pushed back, but the Game Week 36 deadline will be unchanged. If this happens, then there'll be no blank Game Week. Okay, so I mean that situation could be something that we look at, but as everyone's kind of saying is that we don't know how they're going to change the deadlines, and they can change the deadlines when they please. Recommend a goalkeeper to the end of the season. I think I would look at someone like a Meslier. He's nice and cheap. Could provide you some good clean sheets from now to the end of the season. I would probably go with someone like him. Vince saying, would you start Jota or Watkins? I would go with Watkins. Play Shaw or Jota. I would go with Shaw. And also because I think this game's going to be quite boring, and I think a 0-0 could be on the cards. Start Saka or Fernandes. 100% go with Fernandes. That's like a no-brainer for me. Transfer Azpilicueta out and Laporte in. I wouldn't be looking at bringing a Man City defender in because I just think right now it's a little bit too hard to predict who's going to start. Which two to start among Shaw, Trent, and Fofana? I would predict who you think is going to score against United or Liverpool. And then I would bench one of those and play Fofana as well. No worries, Vince. Thanks for joining. I'm probably going to end the stream in about 2 minutes time, guys. So try and get your questions in. As I always do, I apologize if I can't answer every single question. But I always try to. So I'm not ignoring everyone. Ben saying, how was your day? It's been a pretty hectic day. But luckily I managed to get the deadline stream in a little bit before this kind of blackout. But I appreciate you asking, Ben. Double game week has been announced. But there hasn't been that much conclusion drawn from it. Rudiger out. Who to replace him with? Dallas, Coleman, or someone else? If you're going to afford Coleman, I would get Coleman in. I mean, not Coleman. If you're going to afford Dallas, I'd get Dallas in. Best striker below 7 million. Probably look at someone like a Chris Wood or maybe an Ollie Watkins if the double is going to be coming up. Carl Tiley saying, hi, Dayvy. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well too. What would happen to Rudiger? So Rudiger is injured for this week, but he might play midweek. And that's why I think I might just hopefully start him. I don't think he's going to play, but maybe in the next kind of game week, he plays that double. No worries, Light Race. Thanks for dropping by. Castagne or Digne, I would go with Digne because he has the double and then probably won't blank. No worries, Adam B. Hope you have a good weekend, tube. I always appreciate you guys dropping by, even though this deadline stream has been a little bit earlier than usual. Transfer out Cresswell for Dallas or Digne. I would go with Lucas Digne. And start Bamford or Saka. I always would start Bamford. Thanks, Football Mixers. All love to you too, brother. All the best this game week to Sam, to you too. Hopefully it's a good game week for all of us. And the green arrows, as I always say, are in our favor. Coleman or Digne, go for Digne if you can. I just think he's more nailed. Coleman, while he is cheap and still provides an attacking threat, isn't as nailed. Ward-Prowse or Maddison. I would probably go with Maddison for the short term, but I think that if you're going to be kind of aiming for those doubles and those blanks, I think that Southampton double and they don't blank, which could be kind of a better investment. Salah plus Greenwood to Sterling and Bale. So Vincent, I would only do that if you want to catch up in your mini leagues, if you want to catch up in the overall ranks and you want to look at some differentials, because those moves are quite courageous, to say the least. Thanks, Simon. Thanks for dropping by. Dominico, major dilemma on defense. Tier A, Rudiger holding Amarty. One transfer to make. So I would just take out Rudiger, and if you can afford someone like a Dallas, then go for them. Or you can afford someone else, then just go for a nailed option. John Chappell saying Rudiger 100% out. I don't know if you're asking or telling me there, John, but I think that he is basically not going to play this weekend. Thanks, good luck. I appreciate your guys. Good luck's always appreciated. Lawazi saying smash that like button on your way out, lads. So that's it. Shut the front door on your way out. Drop a like. That's always appreciated. Smith Road to Greenwood. I don't think I'll be doing that this week. I think I might just hold that chance and maybe do it next week, because I have this weird feeling that Greenwood won't play this week and then he'll get started in the Europa League and then get benched next week as well. Cody or Konza, I think you have to go with Aston Villa just because with Cody, you kind of don't know if he's going to be starting or not in that double game week. Cody or Jota, Bamford or Jota. I would go for Bamford and I would go for Jota and I'd go for Konza. But that's basically wrapped the stream, guys. I want to still get out a tweet before we end off the stream. So I do always appreciate you guys joining in. And I'll hopefully check you guys next week after this whole blackout thing is ended. Hopefully you guys do support the blackout because I think it's worth a worthy cause, whether you kind of think it's going to make a difference or not. But as I always say, thanks for dropping by, and hopefully the green arrows are all in our favor for this week. Have a safe weekend and a safe Friday afternoon. I'll be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.